Alrighty, so I'm kind of glad that we've now caught up in terms of the World Cup action as I'm about to review the four games that just happened a couple of hours ago. And what's interesting about these four games is that, like what I said yesterday, where we've seen some variety of the game, we kind of saw exactly that in today's action, where there was blownouts, there was nil-nil draws, there was some surprising upset, and then there was a crew resort that I'm pretty sure Canadian fans would love to have back. But we start off with the first game, which was a nil-nil draw between Morocco versus Croatia. And there's been a lot of nil-nil draw so far in this tournament, and it's understandable because, you know, it is the first group stage game, and I can understand why some teams don't want to really go for it, because if you really go for it and you don't get the win, then obviously you're basically find yourself behind the eight ball. But on the other hand, there's also the argument, well, you know, if you go for it and you get the win, then you can basically sit yourself in a good position. It's pretty much like tipping the balance there, but it seems like for both of these teams, they're just going to be happy with this nil draw. But in the first half, it was pretty much a home game for Morocco. I thought there was a lot of red in the crowd in this one. I mean, there was definitely some Croatian fans in the crowd, but let's be honest, it was pretty much 80% Moroccan fans. They were making a lot of noises throughout this game. Croatia, I thought, though, was on the front foot, and they were looking to create some chances to get the opening goal. Perisic had a long-range effort that just goes high there, and that came after just a bad turnover from Morocco. I mean, we talked about before, this Moroccan defense is going to be something that we're going to keep an eye on. But what's kind of interesting is that, I think throughout the broadcast, they mentioned that Morocco hasn't conceded a goal like 400 plus minutes, and that's kind of interesting because I've heard that this Moroccan defense is not very good, so it's kind of interesting that they haven't conceded in 400 plus minutes, and that kind of continues after this. El Nizari would then just miss a header after just a beautiful cross from Hakim Ziyech. Both team, I thought, started to get some good opportunity and was looking for the opening goal, but we didn't get our next chance until the first man of stoppage time, who absolutely robbed Vlasic from point blank effort. I mean, that was an incredible save there by the Moroccan goalkeeper. Modric then blast one just high from 17 yards out, and even though that was on a volley, you know, with the quality that Luka Modric had, you would expect him to at least put that one on target. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Livakovic, which he hasn't had a lot to do in the first half, he had to make his first save to deny Mazraoui in the front post. Then Armbrecht had a goal line clearance there in the 53rd minute to prevent Croatia to get the opening goal. And again, both teams getting some chances to begin in the second half. But just like the first half, just as I thought maybe we're going to get some chances, then the game kind of went into a little bit of a lull, and that really neither of these teams can find that killer final ball. I mean, as I mentioned before, we've seen some nil-nil draws in this one. I think this one was probably the dullest one because, you know, yes, there was some chances, there was some moments, but there wasn't really one time where you say, oh, that is definitely a chance that should have been in the back of net. Maybe the chance that Vlasic had in the first minute of stoppage time, but other than that, you know, again, these was just some good chance, but not chances that you say that absolutely should be in the back of the net. But in the 64th minute, Livakovic would then deny Hakimi of a rocket from long range before there was a shout for a penalty from the Moroccan supporter that was not given. But yeah, that was really it. That was kind of the last real action to note of, as it ends in a scoreless draw. Shots in this one, 8 shots compared to 5 that Croatia has. 2 shots on goal for both of these teams. 2 shots off target compared to none that Morocco has. 6 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Croatia has. And possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that Morocco has in this game. And like I said, you know, I feel like maybe both of these teams were kind of playing it a little bit safe, and that you know they don't want to of course lose, knowing the fact that now they could face a little bit of an uphill battle, and we'll see at the end of the group stage who is going to move on into the next round. Because either way, I really think out of both of these teams, one of them will move on into the next round. I don't think both of them will do it, especially when they have France in their group. But moving on, in the next match, we got Germany versus Japan, and this definitely was an upset. Though I will say that this was not as big of an upset as the Saudi Arabia versus Argentina, and that unlike that game where, Saudi Arabia, think they had that good spell which they kind of turned the game around, and then for the rest of the game they were relying on the help of the offside flag, and also some help by the referees too, to get themselves over the line to create the one of the biggest upset in World Cup group stage history. This was not the case for Japan, and in fact I think Japan played a perfect game in this one, and a perfect kind of underdog game, that when you're basically approach an inferior or a superior team where, they defended very well for the majority of the first half. They soaked up the pressure, and then in the second half, as the game was continued to be at 1-0, they started to be aggressive, knowing the fact that, hey, we have nothing to lose. Like, we're down 1-0. If we maybe lose 2-0 or so be it. And they did exactly that. But it's also a combination of the fact that Germany, the finishing was a lot left to be desired in this game, and that this was a classic example of what happened when you don't kill the game off and you let your opposition back into the game, and they basically pay the big price because of it. But early on, it was actually Japan, the one that looked like got the opening go, as Maeda puts it into the back of the net. The only problem is he was in an offside position, and it wasn't even close. I mean, it was about a couple of yards offside there, but that was a warning sign for the Germans. Like, Japan, they weren't just going to lie down, and we talked about this before, where, this Japanese side, especially when they face against the US, they were a very good side. They were a very underrated side, and it's a side that you cannot get too lightly, and that, I'm pretty sure the Germans realized that, because that was a warning sign, and they could have easily find themselves 1-0 down just 8 minutes into the game. And I thought a lot of that has to do with the fact that Japan was very threatening on the counter attack. Now, Germany did kind of stop that eventually, and the first chance for them did came in the 16th minute when Rudiger missed wide from a corner, but the possession was heavily in favor of Germany, like 80% plus in terms in favor of Germany. There was then a quick check for a handball on Japan, but it was not given before Gundogan would hit a long-range effort that goes straight to Gonda. But then a penalty was given to the Germans, as Gunda would block down Rom in the box, which Gundogan would score in the 33rd minute to give Germany a 1-0 lead. And you're just thinking, well, it looks like normal service has resumed. It looks like Germany is going to throttle Japan in this one. Kimmich had a chance to get the second goal, but he blasted high from long range. The shots were 11-0 in favor of the Germans. Like, at this point, again, the Maeda goal that was counted offside, that did not count as a shot, because it was offside there. But yeah, that was really the only chances so far that Japan has had. Musiala would then puts it high from 17 yards out before Havertz looked like he made it 2-0, but VAR disallowed the goal because it was offside, and I think Kai Havertz knew it. Like, knowing the fact that he didn't really celebrate, he knew that he wasn't in an offside position. So when they go to VAR to quickly check to see whether that is the case, and it is. I mean, I feel like that was kind of one of those situations where, I feel like, they probably should have got it right the first time instead of going to VAR. But nevertheless, they still get it right, which is a good thing, because we've seen sometimes in this tournament that they don't get it right, and then we basically have a controversy. Then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Maeda, who of course scored that first goal that was disallowed for offside, he actually had the first shot for Japan, but he puts that one wide in the 5th minute of stoppage time, and we head to halftime with Germany just with a narrow 1-0 lead, despite being dominating Japan in this one. Now in the second half, they kind of continued to search for that second goal. Gnabry would nick the front post from a tight angle before Musiala would almost score. Just a messy like, what a solo effort this was from Musiala. He basically took on the entire Japanese back line, completely done them, but just the finishing wasn't there. I mean, if that one went in, that would definitely be in contention for a goal of the tournament. And I don't know if FIFA actually does goal of the tournament. I'm pretty sure they do, but if that one went in, that would definitely be in contention. What a great solo run that was from Musiala. But again, Germany in complete control of this game, but can they find this killer second goal? Because the longer this stays at 1-0, you know who that benefits? Japan, because I think throughout the broadcast they also mentioned the fact that that's kind of what Japan wants it. They want to keep in this game as long as possible, and then if the time is right, that's when they start to be aggressive and started to strike on this German side. Gundogan then had a chance in the 60th minute, but he struck the post from close range. But then in the 61st minute, Asano would puts it wide after another lethal Japanese transition. And little did we know that this would really be where Japan really started to go for it, because not only the fact that they started to grow into this game, but you're now started to wondering, if you're Germany, you haven't got the second goal, and now all of a sudden Japan is on the attack, and that they're also bringing fresher legs. Are they going to overwhelm this German team? Well, little do we know that it turns out that was the case, though they do still have to have their goalkeeper to try to keep this one at 1-0. Gunda with an incredible four save in this save sequence. I mean, it's not every day where you see it's a same attacking sequence where a goalkeeper make 4 save, but that's what exactly Gunda made in this one. He first denied Hoffman there before he robbed Gnabry of free time, and that include one where he actually denied Gnabry in the front post, but it kind of went right back to him, and somehow he got back on his feet to kind of make it save. So it was kind of like a double save in that same situation. But yeah, their goalkeeper Gunda, we talk about some great goalkeeping performance so far in the World Cup. He's definitely having one of those, keeping his team at 1-0, but not to outdone by incredible goalkeeping performance. Neuer will also be involved in, and he did in this one as he robbed Ito from point blank range in the 72nd minute. But then in the 75th minute, Japan finally equalized. It's Don that ties the game up at 1 apiece for the Japanese, and you can feel the momentum was all with the Japanese. Like, you just can sense that they have a chance to get the winner. I mean, after yesterday's game when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, you just had a feeling if the underdog can get a goal and change the momentum, they can get that second goal, and it exactly is what happened in this one. As in the 83rd minute, Asano would score from Itakura to give Japan a 2-1 lead, and I'll tell you what, that was an incredible goal by Asano. Like, the fact that he was able to beat Neuer from that tight of an angle, and it's something that you usually do not see. Manuel Neuer gave up a goal like that. I mean, you could argue maybe Neuer could have done a little bit better, and especially, if you're a goalkeeper, you just hate to get beat in the front post like that, but I just think that was just pure power from Asano, just kind of puts one past Neuer there. But yeah, just like that, Japan was up 2-1 in this game, and the shock was definitely on the fact that the Asian side would pull off a big upset. Though Fulkrug then heads it wide from close range in the 90th minute, and it's pretty much all hands on deck for the Japanese, because the Germans, they were pressing to try to get the late equalizer. There was a shout for a penalty for them that was not given before Goretzka had a big opportunity from 17 yards out, and he just sliced it wide there. But yeah, in the end, Japan hold on to a massive 2-1 win in this one. And the shots in this one, 26 shots compared to 12 that Japan has. 9 shots on goal compared to 4 that Japan has. 4 shots that was off target compared to 11 that Germany has. 6 shots on that is blocked compared to 4 that Japan has. And possession-wise, 74% possession compared to 26% possession that Japan has. But in the end, Japan, a massive victory in this one. And you just kind of had a sense that if they have any chance of potentially progress into the next round, they have to beat either Germany and Spain. And the fact that they're able to beat Germany now, their chances of potentially moving on into the next round just increases. And for Germany, they are in big trouble now, because now that they find themselves still at 0 point, and knowing the fact that they have to play Spain next, I mean, that game against Spain is basically a must-win game. If they do not win that game, I think they're mathematically going to be out, depending on what Japan does against Costa Rica. And who would have thought that Germany would have back-to-back World Cup where they do not make it out of the group stage? I mean, I think last year after they did not make it out of the group stage, I think that was like the first time that has ever happened to Germany in their World Cup history, and that's even going back to when they were a West German side. But yeah, I mean, that would have been a very shocking kind of event. But like I said, they're in deep trouble trouble now, and they're now facing themselves in a must-win situation in the next game, because moving on in the next match between Spain and Costa Rica, Spain was able to get the win and then some, because, wow, this will definitely go down as probably one of the most lopsided and dominant World Cup group stage game I have ever seen. And you know how there's times where, you know how when these SEC school like Alabama and Georgia are playing against kind of like these lower kind of ranked teams, or these FCS school kind of in some of the early part of the season, and even in the later part of the season, where they kind of beat them down by a huge amount of scores so that they can kind of stat pat. That's exactly what Spain did to Costa Rica in this game, because not only they beat Costa Rica in this game, they annihilated them in a sense that, you know, if you want to ask who's probably going to be the first one that could have to basically buy tickets to go back home, it's probably the Ticos after this one. In the first half, Olmo would then put it wide from close range, and as expected, you know, Spain has all the possession, because we know that's what the Spanish likes to do. They love to keep possession, and Costa Rica were looking to absorb the pressure and maybe hit one on the counterattack. Little do we know that maybe is a huge no, because in the 9th minute, after Asensio puts it wide from close range, in the 11th minute, Dani Olmo would score for Spain to give them a 1-0 lead. Not long after, Marcos Asensio would score from Alba to make it 2-0 in favor of Spain. By the way, I want to thank Spain for the fact that, because this is such a lopsided game, I didn't really pay too much attention to this one, and I can focus on the other games that was going on. So hence, that's why I didn't really wrote that much notes in terms of this game. But one thing I did wrote after that 2-0 lead is that, oh boy, this could get ugly, because the way that Spain just completely dominate Costa Rica there. I mean, coming into this game, we talked about for the Ticos, you know, it's pretty much Keylor Navas against everybody, because we know he's really the only hope that Costa Rica has any chances of potentially progress out of this round. And not only the fact that Navas was pretty much a no-show in this game. I mean, in this game, he wasn't really that good in this one, but man, that entire back line, and really the whole team of Costa Rica, I don't know if they realize that the World Cup has started, because they basically didn't even bother to show up in this game, and Spain took full advantage of it. Because in the 30th minute, a penalty was given to Spain as Doreta would brought down Jordi Alba in the box, which Ferran Torres was able to put away the penalty. And yeah, Spain were up to 3-0, and the rout was on, and it continued into the second half, as that was we head to the half-line scoreline with the score with Spain leading 3-0. In the second half, like the first half, possession all with Spain. It was basically a training session for them up to that point. Asensio almost made it 4, but he puts it slightly high there after he kind of slipped there. But they eventually did make it 4 in the 54th minute, as Ferran Torres again would score, this time from open play, and the entire Costa Rican backline just kind of ball watch. Like, that's when you know that when a team just completely checked out, when they basically decided to do that. Morata then tried to join the goal scoring party, but he puts it into the side netting. But in the 75th minute, the youngster Gavi would score from Morata to give Spain a 5-0 lead. I mean, that is definitely an early candidate for a young player of the tournament. I think they have a specific name for it, but I forgot what exactly the name for the young player of the tournament in the World Cup. But Gavi is definitely going to be in big contention of that, and rightfully so, because you talk about a teenage sensation and who is probably the hottest prospect in the world right now. Gavi is definitely ranked one of that, and what a goal this was from him to make it 5-0 in favor of Costa Rica. And I also mentioned that, you know, he also makes some history too after scoring that goal, because he become the youngest World Cup goal scored since a certain player called Pele exists in this world. I mean, only 18 years old here, and he already got one World Cup goal. In the 79th minute, we had some coming together between both of these teams, which is kind of interesting, because up to this point, we haven't really seen a lot of tempers flare between both of these teams. But I guess maybe this is up to the point where you're down 5-0, you're trying to maybe round up the Spanish a little bit, maybe them an easy yellow card. That didn't work out. Navas then denied Morata in the front post. Before in the 90th minute, Carlos Soler would score to make it 6-0 in favor of Costa Rica. And yeah, up to this point, I talked about Keylor Navas not having a great performance and how the entire team kind of decided to give up. Well, it seems like he kind of gave up too, because this was very unlike him. Allow a juicy rebound right back to Soler, who puts it in there to make it 6-0. And then it would be 7-0 in favor of Spain, as Morata would finally get on the goal scoring chart from Dani Olmo, because Alvaro Morata, when he came off the bench, he knew he wanted to get himself a goal too, and he does here in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Yeah, in the end, an absolute thrashing in this one, and the stats basically does not like 17 shots compared to none that Costa Rica has. In fact, I don't even need to go over the stat chart. Basically, Costa Rica had no shots in this entire game, and that I think this is the first time in World Cup group stage history that we have had a team that failed to register a single shot throughout the entire 90 minutes. That's how dominant Spain was in this one. And again, I think going back to what I look at the one between England and Iran, and even the one between France and Australia, with these kind of big scoreline like this, it's you can kind of take it both ways. Of either these teams are definitely going to be sending a message for the rest of the team in the tournament that they are for real and that they can definitely compete for the World Cup. Or the fact that you could even say that, well, they're faced against a weaker team, and they pretty much kind of pile on and kind of run up the score a little bit. And in this case, you can kind of say the same thing, because we know Spain is definitely a team that they can definitely make a deep run or so. But at the same time, they were facing against Costa Rica. That I think some people now say that maybe Costa Rica might be the weakest team coming into this tournament, because my oh my, they got blown apart in this one, and it's very hard to imagine if they can recover from this. I mean, if they can recover this would have been probably one of the biggest comeback story we've seen a team in the group stage. But when you lose 7-0 in the first round, there's really not a lot of hope that you can come back and potentially move on into the next round, and especially when you're in the toughest group in this tournament. But now moving on in terms of the next match, and that is going to be Belgium versus Canada. And as I said earlier today, I do feel sorry for the Canadians after this game, because they were the better team in this one against Belgium. Like, they had chances in the first half to get the opening goal. Heck, they even had a penalty in the first half to potentially get themselves to go up 1-0. But due to the fact that they did not have that clinical finishing, and also a little foreshadow, or kind of maybe even a spoiler to say that they did not convert that penalty, and Belgium, even though they weren't at their best in this game, they were a little bit more clinical and able to get that goal. They were able to get the victory and spoil a Canadian return to the World Cup with a win after this game. But early on in the first half, Bashirawi would then put one right to Bojan before Buchanan had a shot that was deflected and go straight to Courtois. But then it was a penalty that was given to Canada, as VAR deemed that Carrasco handball that in the box, and it was the right call, because you can clearly see Yannick Carrasco handball that one in the box. So here comes Alphonso Davies, stepped up to trying to give the Canadians a 1-0 lead, and he doesn't. Courtois able to deny him from the spot. I was kind of questionable why I saw Davies took the penalty, because I think it's usually Jonathan David or Kyle Larin the one that takes the penalty spot. So it's kind of interesting that they decided to give Davies the opportunity. I mean, not saying that Davies don't deserve it. I mean, he's the best player in that Canadian team, but again, for a youngster like that in such a big moment like that, I just wonder maybe that moment was too big of him. And you can even tell when he stepped up in the penalty, he looked really nervous, and that, yeah, I mean, it was not a great penalty, but at the same time, a good save from Thibaut Courtois there to deny the Canadians a dream start to this World Cup. Larea then pulls it wide from close range, and despite the fact that they missed the penalty, I thought the Canadians, they did not feel phased. They would continue to try to press for the opening goal, would pulls it wide from close range, as the shots were now 8-1 in favor of Canada already. I mean, Canada was really putting a shooting gallery in in front of Thibaut Courtois net. Though on the other end, Bashirawi would put it one wide off of an emergency deflection or emergency sleep block from Kamal Miller, and I thought Canada need to watch out for those turnover, because as much as they were being aggressive in terms of going forward on the attack and trying to send men forward, they got to be careful not to turn the ball over in their own end, because we know this Belgian team can do well when they go on the counter attack. Then in the 27th minute, Davies would then pulls it wide from 14 yards out. I thought there was a ton of space for the Canadian to exploit, but again, can they of course start to be a little bit more clinical in terms of their finishing and the final ball? Well, the answer is no, because there's also that guy called Thibaut Courtois, who, you know, he's showing why he is considered one of the best goalkeeper in the world, and why he belongs at Real Madrid, because he denied Johnston from close range in the 30th minute. The shots were now 11-2 in favor of Canada. David then heads it wide while he was off balance. There was another shout for a penalty for Canada that was not given, and after that we saw for the first time that the fans actually chanted for VAR. I mean, I was wondering, eventually are we going to have that situation where there's a controversial call where the fans are going to chant VAR? Well, the Canadian fans decided to do that. It was to no avail. But in the 43rd minute, Belgium gets the lead. It's Bashirawi scoring from Alderweireld to give Belgium a 1-0 lead, and that is an absolute gut punch for the Canadians, because again, up to that point it was all Canada, but this is what happened when you don't take advantage against a superior team. One big chance by the superior team, and all of a sudden you can find themselves down, and that's exactly what the Canadian did in this one. It was a sucker punch from the Belgium here, and they find themselves 1-0 down. Buchanan then skies it over the bar on the doorstep of the goal. I mean, that shot pretty much just summarized the first half for the Canadians. Like, they had so many opportunities, but they just could not show that clinical finishing. And I even wrote, the inability of not being able to finish is going to haunt this Canadian team back in this game, because I just had a feeling with all those missed chances that they had in the first half, and now they're down 1-0. I know what the second half is going to look like. The second half, I'm pretty sure Belgium is going to tighten things up, and that's exactly what they did, because as we head to halftime, 1-0 in favor of Belgium. After David heads it just wide on the header, I thought Canada started to not been able to get those same opportunity as they did in the first half, because Belgium really started to kind of tighten things up a little bit, not giving as much space to Canada to exploit. Though Buchanan did blast it way high into the stands, which now that shot also kind of summarized the finishing that Canada has throughout this game. There was a shout for a penalty for Belgium not given, though I thought the game kind of started to open up a little bit, which I thought that kind of favored Canada, because they want to have an open game like that, and that is exactly not what Belgium want to do, because they know that they want to kind of shut things down, knowing the fact that the Canadians has that ability to get the goal, even if they're not doing well in terms of their finishing. Laren had a chance in the 80th minute, but he heads it straight to Courtois, and up to that point, just kind of feel like it's not going to be the Canadians' night. Like, there's times where it's kind of one of those days where a team just could not finish. This is kind of one of those days for the Canadians, where they just could not put the ball into the back of net. Then Donka then heads it just wide from the free kick in the 82nd minute. And yeah, that was really the final action of this game, as in the end, Belgium hold on to win 1-0 against Canada in this game. And the shots in this one, Canada outshot Belgium 22-9. The shots on goal is 3 shots on goal, and that's a big story of this game, because as much as, Canada has 20 plus shots in this game, only 3 of them was on target. And I talk about this a lot during the MLS season, where it doesn't matter how many shots you register. Like, you can register like 20 plus shot, or even at times 30 plus shots in a game, but if you only have like 3 shots on goal, that's a very telling story that you're basically either shooting from everywhere, or you're not being clinical in front of goal. 11 shots off target to 3 that Belgium had. 3 shots that was blocked with the 8 that Canada has. And possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that Canada has in this game. And despite the fact that this is definitely a gut-punching loss that Canada has had, I think Canada might have just sent a message to the rest of the group that they're not just here to have fun. They're actually serious of progressing into the next round. And yes, I feel like this was just kind of a very unlucky for them to not get anything out of this game. But if they can continue to play like this and can fix their finishing, I think they still have a shot in terms of progressing into the next round. And especially with the way that they were gifted that Morocco and Croatia got a 0-0 draw. I think they still have a shot to do so. But for Belgium, I really think they got away with one in this one, because they didn't play well in this one, but as the old saying goes, when you are considered one of the best team in the world and are considered to be one of the favorites of winning the World Cup, that's what they do. When you're not at their best, they grind out resort and are still able to get all 3 points. And in this turn, and also like a World Cup tournament like that, I don't think Belgium would care in that state. They'll just take the 3 points, maybe fix some of the mistake that they had in this game, and hope that they of course can improve it, because there's no doubt that the performance that the Belgium play in this one, that's not gonna get it done when they face against a tougher team. Like if they face against a tougher team like that, they are going to get absolutely destroyed if they put up the same performance that they did in this one against Canada. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of these 4 games. Like I said, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.